What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone's having a good day. What did I, there we go. I was like, what did I do with my pen? All right, so let's jump right into it. We're gonna try and keep this one under an hour if we can. We got a handful of videos to go over today. It's been a rough couple of days, so we gotta try and keep this somewhat short. Let's see what we got. All right, so we got 3 different exercises and 2 of each. 2 sets of each. So starting with Pooty, we've got his laying leg curl. So for those of you that were here last time, wait, do I have audio? Hopefully we have audio. Yeah, we're good, we're good. Let me, okay, I think we're okay. Let me turn off the speaker volume just to make sure we're on the right mic here. I think we are, but input, manage sound devices. And we'll disable this one. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're on the right mic. So yeah, last time, if you guys were here for this, we went over his laying leg curl, and I wanted to see, he was grabbing onto these handles here, and I felt like he was pulling more than he was pushing, which is going to keep him from keeping his chest up a little bit. So I asked him to try this time to grab these handles and see if it puts him in a better postural position. So let's see what happens. We'll watch it at full speed. Oh, I would like, man, I'm torn because that actually looks solid in terms of keeping himself straight, except I have some issues with that, but I have some improvements with that as well. I'm not sure. I don't know how to feel about that. All right, so let's watch it back in slow motion. This is the issue, is the load. This first issue is the load. So he's already bent and he hasn't started the load yet. He does load it a little bit there. So technically it is, but then he kind of stops to reach and then kind of starts on the back and then pushes his chest up. I'm not sure. I think what I would like is the old load phase, and then using the upper grips, and then transition to the lower ones once he's ready. Because I like this position better, and I like the meat of the set better as well. Like, he looks more solid here, where he's able to just maintain his basic upper body posture here and keep the actual exercise on the hamstring. Just the load is kind of shitty. And then the deload here is even worse when he finishes the set. He just stops. And I feel like he realizes at the end, we'll have to see what he says about it. But it looks like he's like, oh shit, I just was not supposed to put it down that way. Let's take a look at the second one and see if it's different. Because I'm curious. I do feel like the load was a little, oh man, those handles are like an inch too far away. because this part actually looks really good. It's just the load isn't quite as good as it normally is. Please don't do it again. Better, better. All right, the way back up was better. That's good. He fixed one of the two. Well, technically he fixed both. Let's go back. So this load is a little bit better. You can see here he actually, shit. So he uses the bench to kind of pull himself into position. What I wouldn't mind here is if instead of the bench, like if he starts with the bench and then transitions to these handles to pull himself into position, and then transitions into these ones, which makes it kind of a three-part load, which isn't ideal, but I think the sacrifice we're making, because see, he tries to go all the way from the bench. Let me make this even slower. So he tries to go from here down to these grips on the bottom, but it's on this side. So he tries to come over here from where he is at the top. And that long reach, he loses his upper body posture. Because here, he's actually quite good. He's got his chest up, his shoulders are down and back. We're in a good postural position. As he comes down, he loads the hamstring here, which is all good. We like all this. But watch. There he breaks. So we are loaded still technically, but as he's reaching, it's just too much. He's going too far. And we start to get a shoulders forward movement here, which if he was bracing on these, I feel like it would be better. So maybe, yeah, come down from the bench, again to these handles, and then to these. Make it a multi-step process to get down to the bottom ones. That way you can keep your chest up. Because when you reach with this left arm, you're completely disengaged. All the work we had to keep this engaged is lost right now. Whereas I think if you were on this handle still, on the other side, you'd be able to keep it engaged. You do correct it if we clear this. Like, watch him here. He's going to push the chest up. Although it's not much of a push because his arms barely reach down that far. But he's able from here to keep this posture quite well. Like, we don't see a lot of hip rotation. His chest stays up. Everything is solid. This is definitely the best. Well, I don't know, may as well circle it all. Is the best that all of it has looked. And the deload is actually quite good at the end. Is it this one or the next one? See? As the weight comes down at the end, he lets it bring himself up, so he's not placing extra strain on that hamstring. Good. Now that's obviously not helping the actual exercise itself, but in terms of reducing any risk at the end, that dismount was 100 times better than the first set. I hated the first set. I love the second set. The only thing I would really change is this initial load. It's that reach with this left arm, he loses it. Everything's disengaged there. And then he tries to re-engage it while he's still loaded on his hamstring. It's a little awkward. So all in all, great set. Just we need to fix that little bit of a load at the beginning, and then it'll be perfect. but I definitely like that grip better for you. The old one, which I had to write over to put this one on my tablet, so I can't go back and look at last week's, but the old one looked like you were like pulling instead of pushing, and it was making it difficult for you. This one looks much more stable. I like it. So yeah, I'm gonna say 2 thumbs up on this one. I just want to make that little tiny adjustment in terms of your load, and you'll be good to go. So let's move on. We're gonna save the deadlifts for last. Let's jump into your one arm rows. So both of these sets are pretty similar. I have watched these already because we watched them yesterday briefly. We talked about when I was trying to get you into this position. This is something else we talked about last week, is we talked about, we were switching this entire thing from the bench to standing. So trying to get your foot position and the dumbbell position correct. This is what I want. I like it. Good starting position. The only thing that I would do is I would probably move you back a little bit with both feet. Keep your starting position the same, just shift back a little bit more so you're getting a little bit more of a lean instead of being so upright. Granted, you haven't started here yet, but we don't want you this upright. We want you more on, well, maybe not that far. Maybe like on this angle. So let's do the same thing. I like the, okay, take that back. So it looked like he was going to start properly, but watch what he does right here. He shifts it forward and then starts. So now he shifted the center of gravity forward as well. I kind of liked where it was already. I think he probably should have picked it up from there. And I can't tell, but it looks like he didn't bend the left leg. Hopefully he bent both. Hard to tell. But yeah, you want to bend both legs as we're picking this up. And then he comes up a bit too far. So that first rep, let's slow it way down. Actually, you know what? We'll watch it full through. So he's really trying to emphasize the chest pull up here, but I feel like he's coming up too high in terms of the overall body angle. It's close, but it's just a bit too high. It looked a little better at the end. This very much feels like a very first time trying this. So we got to give him a little bit of slack because we are coming off the bench to standing. So it feels like he's just trying to find his comfort zone here. That's probably why it looks a little sloppy compared to normal. Also, I think that weight is too light for him. But we're going to analyze both, even though we have another set. So let's start here. Decent starting position. Like I said, though, he is going to shift it this way, and we don't need to do that. We can start where we are. Even though it looks like we're a little bit backward on this angle, that is the center. Like, it's not that far. I'm exaggerating, but even though it does look like we're a little bit this way, it's okay because that's where the center of gravity is. So you don't need to shift it forward. You can just start from there. Now, so see how he picks it up and then the arm shifts forward, but he hasn't done anything yet? What I would like to do is this is where I would like the legs to straighten a little bit. So stand up with your legs. Instead of picking it up with your upper body, we're loading, excuse me, a dog here. Instead of picking it up using your upper body, imagine picking it up with your legs, which he didn't do here. So if we dial it back, he comes down with the legs, but he should also come up with the legs. And instead, there's no leg movement on that. So we'd like a little bit of pickup with the legs there. Kind of like that, but then he's already starting the motion. So I would prefer, let me switch cameras here and show you. I actually have a higher We have a higher chair now, which is actually helpful. So you can actually see my hand position. So if I'm starting here, let me grab my trusty dowel. All right, so if I come down and I pick this up, can't see the upper body unfortunately, but as I stand up, now I'm here. My first movement, instead of being upward like this, which is what he's doing, my first movement should be the reach. Get that reach, and then the squeeze. So you'll notice when he does it, he's coming up like this, he's pulling. There's a lot of bicep here, and you can see a big gap in between my elbow and my body, which is what he's getting to, although he's kind of further forward more, and the angle is upward, so you're not seeing it kind of the identical way as you're seeing it with me. But what I would like is this reach, which I'm wearing blacks, you can't really see it, but I'm twisted like this way a little bit. I'll try and exaggerate it so you can see my back. So I'm reaching down, the back rotates in the direction toward you, and then as I squeeze the lat. I'm not pulling with my arm past, I'm just squeezing the lat as tight as I can get it, getting a maximum flex on that lat muscle, and then stopping. Whereas you can see, we'll go back and look at his now, but you can see there's some arm pull there. So here's the difference on this. All right. You can't really see the gap, I guess, but this gap exists. If we were upward and looking at a straight line, there's a hole there. Also, it looks like he's over rotating in this direction just a little bit. And you'll notice that this line is way more upright than my line. My line is more about here, and I'm significantly taller than him. So it's going to be probably a little easier for me to lean forward because of the height of the rack. But that's why I need him to shift his feet back in this direction, is so that he can get that lean a little bit easier, and that way he doesn't have this super upright position. So let's clear all that. So here's where we want the reach. Actually, decent reach there. I would like a little more. I'd actually like him to reach for the floor. Now, in order to reach for the floor, obviously, he can't do it in this position, right? In order to get further down, we're going to need a little more leg bend on the way down, which is fine. We've talked about this in many exercises. We want that leg bend as an absorption to the weight coming to the bottom. If you just drop the weight down and nothing else absorbs it at the bottom, there's so much impact at the bottom. You're not going to be able to stop it and reverse directions properly without using the tendons and the ligaments in your shoulder. So we want a little bit of absorption with the legs, which will allow you to come down a little further, plus that reach through the shoulder. We're not disengaging. Let me take that back. We're releasing the shoulder girdle, which is stretching the lat. And then when we come back up, the legs straighten, not strengthen, although technically strengthen as well. The legs straighten, the shoulder retracts, and then we squeeze the lat. So watching his way up, you can see not as much is happening there. So we didn't get the leg down, so we don't get the legs up. Also, his upper body, his torso has come super vertical. His elbows come way past the point of what he needs because he's just pulling now with the bicep instead of with the lat. If we can dial that all in and get it a little more rigid, he'll be good to go. But he's overthinking this set like a madman these first few reps. So again, We can be a little lenient on him. I'm going to really pick it apart. I like that reach through the shoulder. So the shoulder part of this reach here is good. You can see the shoulders actually, the whole shoulder girdle has moved forward, which I like. But again, we didn't get this leg movement. That little extra leg movement to move this weight closer to the floor is going to help him actually on the way up, even though it has nothing to do with his lat here. He's got this lat stretch. It's already there. But we need that little absorption just to make it easier on the way up. Because if you look now, look at this position. It's actually quite good. This is where I would like him to finish. If he reached here, down to like, well, maybe not quite that far. But if this came to like here, using his legs a little more, getting a little more reach, then on his way back up, he could have his legs straightened to where he is, which would mean his hip position still finishes here. But instead of finishing up here, he reaches now down to here and finishes at this spot with now the shoulders retracted, chest is up. This would be a great finishing position. Instead, because this is the end of his reach, or close to it, look how much further up we come. Now, we're up here, but also the arm has gone even further. Technically, he's up to here, which is, there's no need for that. We could have stayed where we were way down here. So let's dial it back. We pull, we reach, right? Ugh. So here we're close. We could get a good lat squeeze here. He's up a little higher than I would like, but it's not that bad. But we could almost finish the movement here. We don't have to go too much further here with the elbow, but watch how much he carries through. Like even here, this, based on his angle, because you have to remember the camera's on the floor, we're looking up, it's gonna look like the elbow is further back than it is. This is a pretty good position. I don't have too many complaints about this. Granted, this angle is a bit much. That's probably even further than he is, to be honest. It's closer to like that. So we would prefer the angle is lower. But unfortunately, I would actually say this is a good first rep if he stopped here, but watch what happens. This angle on his arm, if we clear all this now, this changes. This is unnecessary. That extra movement actually hurts him, because what's happening here? On the first one, on this one, he's getting the back contraction. We're in a good spot. As soon as he goes past here, that extra 10% is now bicep and shoulder. Which sounds like, all right, you know, I did 40% of my movement, so we're going to split it up. 50% on the way up, 50% on the way down, right? So from, let's go a different color. Say from the ground to here is whatever, 40% of your way up, or 40 of the 50% on the way up. It's probably closer to 45, but anyway. And then this is your last 5% or 10%, depending. So we'll say 45 on the way up. And then this 5%, we lost it, right? So you're like, all right, that's not that bad. You got 45 out of 50. That's a 90% grade. The problem with that is that now that we're on the shoulder, when he comes back down, he's no longer on the lat. He's still on the shoulder. And at the bottom, he's got to regroup, which means the entire 50% on the way down, he's lost. So you're not getting 45 out of 50, you're getting 45 out of 100, which is significantly worse. So this is just releasing on the bicep. Now he's trying to get it back onto the back. Again, we try and get that back squeeze. He over rotates onto the bicep and then back down through the bicep and then tries to get back on the back and back up on the bicep. And then this is just going to repeat itself because he's going a bit too far on the way up. We just want that lat squeeze. Remember, we don't want to overdo it and come up on the bicep at the end, because the second we do, we're losing the whole back half of that movement. And you're cutting your results in half, essentially. He does, I will say, here, this is starting to look a little bit better. He's starting to make adjustments. This angle isn't as bad as it was at the beginning. It's not as upright as it was here. We would still like him to be lower, but it's slowly getting better. He's still over-rotating at the top, though. And the reason that's happening is, one, because he's pulling too far. But also, two, he feels like he's not getting enough out of it because he's not getting that full extension at the bottom, which would be improved by a little bit of a leg bend and absorption at the bottom. I feel like we've spent too much time on this one, but this is important. Is that the last rep, or we got one more? Yeah, one more. Yeah, so same thing through all of them here. I don't think we need to watch the other side. Let's go to the second side, because it's hard to see the other side anyway. All right, set number 2. I've completely lost track of where we are. Okay, there we go. Interesting start. So he actually, funny enough, started with the weight further forward this time because he moved it forward last time. But then watch. He actually moves it back a little bit before starting. So again, the same issue though at the start is he picks it up right into his first rep. I would prefer if he picks it up with his legs instead of with his upper body, and then starts with the reach. You never want to start your pickup as your first rep. It's like doing a dumbbell press. We come back into the dumbbell press, and as we're getting it up, people count that as their first rep. That should be where you start, not where you finish. So we're going to start with the reach, which means you don't pull on your way up. So all right, that was too fast. I'd like him to pick it up, get into position, and then instead of his first movement being here, I would prefer for the first movement to be the reach, and then get into that first pull. He's kind of cheating. I don't want to call it cheating because that's excessive, but he's kind of cheating by lifting it up and pulling all at the same time on this first rep. Now, this is interesting to me. Watch this first one. This line is quite a bit better than it was on the first. Hey, what's up, Pootie? Welcome, welcome. This line is quite a bit better than it was on the first set. He's much more upright. Or sorry, not much more upright. Much more stable and much flatter than he was on the first set. So let me see that. I think he's still over pulling here. Yeah. So there it is. Still over pulling just a little bit, which means now, if we switch to this, we're on the shoulder. which means on the way down, of course, we are still on the shoulder on the way down, which means we're losing that downward movement. But this second angle is much better, I will say. And you got a little better reach there too. Watch the legs. We got a little leg absorption at the bottom. I want a little more. I want a little more legs at the bottom. Reach up. You should be getting a little closer to the floor. And again, I'd like those feet a little bit further back to give you... So I did just go over a lot of this. So I don't want to go over too much of it again. But I'll give you the Cole's Notes version. Basically, your legs are super straight. I would like a little more leg absorption on your way down. Remember when we talk about the main thing that I referenced here was if you're doing a dumbbell press, we talk about getting into the dumbbell press and then fixing your shoulders before you start your first rep. Think of that, the equivalent of that here is when you pick this up, right there, now you're starting. Your first movement should be down, which means everything should come down and you should absorb from here. Instead, your first movement is to start your first rep. So we want, with the legs, to answer your question, when you're coming into this first downward movement, we want that little shock absorption at the bottom, similar to the lat pull down, where we talk about on the way up, you should allow your whole body to come up a little bit and absorb that weight. Same as with the leg curl. We talk about as your legs go down, you want your upper body just to absorb a little bit. That's what the job of your legs is here, is we want that little bit of leg absorption so that you don't have to absorb all that shock with the tendons and ligaments in your shoulder. And it allows you to stay on the lat, allows you to reach through the lat. When you're coming down, you get that big stretch down through the lat. And then when you come up, it allows you to contract the lat, finish in that good position, and then absorb on the way down. So the other thing we talked about a lot over, because this is the second set of this, we overanalyzed it to death in the first one, is you're over pulling a little bit. We're getting a little bit of bicep, which means you're coming onto your anterior delts a little bit at the end here, and then that means on your way down, unfortunately, you're on your shoulder on the way down and you're losing it. So you're gonna have to watch that part back. I kind of rambled a little bit, just a forewarning. Well, you're starting to come up a little bit. All right, let's go back to the beginning, because I want to put that line down. Right here. So here's your starting line. Again, I would prefer if you're a little flatter. This starting line is actually quite good. I would prefer if you're a little flatter. In order to get here, we need you to move your feet back just a little bit. That way you're going to be reaching a little more with your off arm as well. But let's move you back a little bit, give you a little bit more of a lean. And then when you're on your way down, you're actually going to be able to come down further. So funny enough, I'm not going to bother drawing another line, because this green line is where I would like you to finish. Sorry, yeah, I'd like you to finish the pull. You're finishing your reach of the green line, so you should be able to get down a little bit further. Let me give you a third color here, I guess. You should probably be able to reach down to here. Now, part of that reach is going to be, again, through your legs, which is what you're not currently doing. You don't currently have that leg absorption. So part of that will fix itself as you get a little more of that. So here we're over pulling a little bit. And now look how upright you are. We're even more upright than we were before. So this rep is where you start to lose it. We really want to stay down pretty flat. You're way too high. You're almost standing here, right? Oops. It's a little too much. Like that angle, you're almost standing. And we don't want that. We still want you bent over. I'm going to show you. Oh, that reach was actually quite good. It was better. You started to dial it in again. So you're at a better angle down here. Again, if your feet were further back, this reach would be a lot easier and a lot less awkward. You're not leaving yourself a ton of room down here. Between your back leg and the dumbbells is a very small area. So yeah, just back off a little bit. Give yourself a little more room. It'll be okay. You're leaning on this hand, so you've got support there. There's no pressure on your back. I'm going to show you mine again here in a second. What I will say, the one thing I really like is right there, you are getting the shoulder disengaged, which is good. Your not disengaged, the shoulder reach that we keep talking about. You're reaching with the shoulder, which is good. We just need a little more legs to get you just that little bit closer to the ground. And it also will absorb it and allow you to hopefully stay on this line and finish with your chest up here instead of over pulling. So let me switch screens for you and I'll show you the difference between the over pull and what you're doing. Oh, sorry, what you're doing with the over pull and where I would like you to be. Small table behind me here and I keep knocking it. All right, so if we're starting here, right, we're in a good position. I wonder if I can turn this way. There we go. Gives me a little more reach. So I'm like this. We're in a good spot. Your first movement, when I pick it up, my first movement from here should be down, right? We want to reach down and then squeeze. What you're doing, because you're picking it up all at once, you're trying to do this. And you're getting this huge hole here, which we don't want. So pick it up. You're in a nice flat position. We're not like this. You're starting good. You're starting like this, which is good. Arm is straight down, right in the good foot position, which your foot position is solid. Now, though, we want to reach, not only with the shoulder. We've got the shoulder reach, which you can barely see. I'm like down so low, I'm off screen. But also my legs are bending. If I keep this position and straighten my legs, like that's how much my legs are bending. I'm getting like 2 or 3 inches reach just off the leg bend as a little absorption. So we come down and we're finishing here. Look at the angle of my arm between my shoulder and my elbow. My elbow is still actually below my shoulder. If I drew a line there, I'm not finishing up here. Right? I'm reaching and I'm squeezing that lat. That lat is fully flexed right now at the end of this movement. If you come any further than this, my lat's no longer even engaged up here. I've got bicep and I've got shoulder up here. So you just want to go until you get that engagement and the chest comes up and that's it. And you should be able to feel that full contraction. And then on the, obviously from here, we go boom, and then reach with everything. So if I'm doing a set, I'm finishing here every time. There's no, I'm never up here. And this is where you're finishing, is up here. So we don't want that. Stay nice and low. I'm literally almost flat to the ground. I'm where your angle is when you're finishing your reach. That's where I am when I'm finishing my pull. So let me run this back for you so you can kind of compare it to what you're doing. See how high you're finishing? You're finishing really high in this direction, and that elbow is over pulling. If you can fix that and change just those two things, you'll notice a huge difference. And not only that, but you're gonna gain that 5% on your way up, but you're also gonna gain the 50% benefit on the way back down, because you're losing that right now. Also, as you get tired, you go higher and higher and higher. I can see you trying to fix it, but so here I would like a little more leg bend to pick that up. And then of course, first movement would be on the way down. It's kind of hard to see this side, but one thing we can see is this upward angle here. You might actually be squeezing the left side better than the right side. It's hard to tell, obviously, because we're not looking at the same angle, but it doesn't look like you're over pulling on this side as much as on the right side, which would make sense because that is what the habit you had from your one arm rows was the same thing, right? You were over pulling on that side when we had the single arm rows as well. So it's entirely possible. But I think that it gives you enough to work on for your one arm rows for now. So let's wrap up with the deadlifts. Again, we touched on these yesterday, so we won't spend too much time on it. Let's see how your first movement is. I'm good with that. The way down was a little misfire, but it was good. I feel like your way up is really good. I'm actually pretty happy with the way up. If we pause it here. Scraping against my legs on the way down. Yeah, I'll get to that because I do want to talk about your way down a little bit. But your way up, I like actually. Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel what you're doing on the way down, and I know exactly what it is. But your angle here is pretty good. Like you're not rounded. Your shoulders are in a pretty good position in terms of being back, because we can see that your chest is up here, is what I'm trying to get at. We've got the chest elevated. Your shoulders aren't up and forward, they're down and back. Obviously, this weight is pulling against that, so it's gonna look like they're not fully up. Would I love it if your chest was up a little more? Of course, but all in all, you got a nice flat back here, so I can't really complain about that. And if we watch, if we put a circle here, a circle here, and a circle here, all three of these points start moving at the same time, which is the biggest thing, right? We don't want this to move. Whoops, that is not an arrow. We don't want this to move followed by this and this back to back. The biggest problem people have with their deadlifts is their hips move first before the other two things move instead of everything moving at the same time. But if we watch those 3 points here, everything elevates together, which is beautiful. Flat back and those 3 things elevating together is what we're looking for. Obviously, we're only looking at the way up here. Clear this. I missed that one. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, you're holding it all the way through. I'm pretty happy with your way up, if I'm being completely honest. I can't complain too much about the way up. If I'm being super picky, you want to aim for your shoulders to be down and back a little bit more. But I can't even, like, I can't be too adamant about that. You're in a pretty good spot. Now, that's the way up. The way down does look a little awkward. And it is important. So here, you're trying to stay completely vertical on your way down. Like, you're trying to keep your upper body perfectly parallel to the ground on your way down. And that's just not going to be possible. Because if we watch your way up, obviously we're not going to be perfectly parallel here. That would imply that you're like this, which isn't, you just can't do that. Like, here is where you're at your knees. And you're already leaning forward. Here, we're at mid-thigh. We're already leaning forward. And then you finish. Now on the way down, you're at mid-thigh, but you're still vertical. Or trying to be vertical. Right? Even here, we're probably past mid-thigh here, but the angle where you were mid-thigh on your way up is this one. I kind of missed there, but you get the idea. That's the line, but you're actually further than that. And we're further down. Now you're like, okay, I got to get to my knees. So you're your angle's a little off. And then once you clear your knees, you're fine. So I think instead of trying to stay vertical, you got to just give yourself a little bit of a lean forward. But don't think of it as a lean forward. Think of it as pushing your hips back. So we're gonna do an angle switch here again. Grab my trusty bar. I hope you realize I took this thing all the way from Washington to Vancouver and now to here, specifically for this. All right. Man, I wish I was more elevated. Do we think it's too risky to stand on this chair to show you this? All right, well. Here we are. We're doing it from here. Fingers crossed. So your way down, instead of trying to be upright and then getting to here and then having to do this, which is kind of what you're doing. You're upright, up, 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 up. And then you've got to kind of do the double lean. I'm exaggerating, but that's essentially what you're doing. So instead, you're here, straight up, and then on the way down, watch my butt go back. I'm starting here, and then I'm going down. Straight up. So my hips are pushing back until the bar gets to my knees, and then my butt goes down and I'm exploding up. Does that make sense? I can't see your messages if you're saying it makes sense or if you have questions, but I'll check in a second. Let me give you a couple more reps. So hips go back. Hips go back to there. And now I've got a pretty good lean already, and I'm at my knee, so now I can go straight down. No, there's no wheels. No. The main chair has wheels. That chair that I stood on is just a folding chair, so it's a little safer. Think I got it? So let's come back and we'll do the same thing we did with your rows, and we'll watch a couple so you can see the difference on your way down. We slow down even a little more. So see how you're up and you're letting it go down your legs? If you just, instead of trying to go down from straight, you just give that butt a little room to go backward first. The weight. So because the butt is coming in this direction, the weight is still centered. Yeah. So because I'm obviously exaggerating with the length of this line, but because the hips are coming back first, but the weight is still in between your head and your feet, the weight's still here. Because the weight is still in between, there's no pressure on your lower back. So you're not gonna hurt yourself. It's just that little hip movement backwards, everything stays aligned because your back is still arched. And then you can come straight up and straight down. I think it's gonna actually help you keep your back flat if you do that hip movement first, instead of trying to let it roll down your legs. Because this part's good. Once you get to your knees, you're fine. And the way up is fine. You just don't, your hips don't move. They move late. They move after your knees. You do this weird like sway like I was trying to show you at the beginning. And I think it's actually making it harder for you to keep your back flat on the way down. Although that one was really good. I wish I could remember if this was the first set or the second set. I think it's the first one. But you could really see it on that one. It's like you're chopping it up. If you see the difference between yours and then what I was showing you, mine look very fluid, right? Like if I'm starting here, I'm straight up and straight down. Whereas yours, you kind of have a straight up and then you have like a zigzag down. So if you can get that down movement a little more fluid, I think it'll be super helpful. We're gonna try and zip through these because this is gonna be the exact same issue, but this is your heavy set, so I wanna make sure we watch it. A little mental break there on the first up. That second rep, you leaned forward a little too much on the way up, but you fix it here on the third rep. That third rep's really good. You still have the same issues on the way down. Fourth rep's good. I still think the third one was probably better, but the fourth rep was good. Fifth rep, You broke a tiny bit, but it was actually good up until then. That one's pretty good. Oh, starting to lose it a little bit on that one. Keep those glutes. That little pause in between terrifies me, but then you actually regroup quite well here. That's a good last rep. Considering the rep before, you kind of hesitated. And then done. I think that actually went quite well. Considering it's your first time at that weight, I think it went quite well. That choppy rep terrifies me when you did another rep after. I was worried the rep after you weren't going to be able to do, but you actually locked in quite well. So I'm happy with your way up. Let's work on the way down. I do want to try, I want to get you to 225 before we change this program, because I feel like that's a nice benchmark. What do we want to do? I'll tell you what. I know last time I said next workout, let's do all 3 sets at this weight, but I'm going to change it. Keep everything the same. Go 185, 205, 185 again. And then the workout after that, we're going to go 185, 225, 185. So you got one more at 205, and then we'll try it. Deal? I think that's what we go with. And then we'll see from there. We might end up doing another workout or 2 after, just to play with it, but I don't want to take this away from you when we're so close and when you're still working on the way down. So that if it's not a source of motivation for you to get to 225 on this, it should be. And I hope you're excited about it, because it's a nice benchmark, especially for your first time doing deadlifts. In theory, I would like to eventually get you to a point where you can do 315, but for first time through the cycle, I think 225 is a great goal and a great benchmark for you. So let's go with that. And we're gonna wrap up here. I got a lot of stuff to do, and it's already 4 o'clock. I tried so hard to get home sooner and get this stream started right away, because what I would like to be able to do is finish my workout and then start stream. But then I get home and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, 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 and this. I don't start stream right away. I would love to start stream and like have my protein shake while recovering and talking to you guys. But I'm having a hard time getting that into more of a habit. So hopefully I can get that sorted and get that done for you guys. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks for hanging out with me. Pooty, hope this helps. I'm looking forward to your next batch of videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the stream if you haven't already, and we will see you all next time. Don't forget to submit your videos either on Discord or on Instagram, or you can just put #RateMyForm. As we get more people submitting videos, we'll be streaming more, so stay tuned. Otherwise, have a great workout, and we will see everybody next time. Thanks for watching, and bye for now, guys.